Good morning, Spartanburg. My name is Chris Story. I'm the city manager here in Spartanburg, and here this morning with Ryan Mosier, one of the leadership team of Duke Energy here in the Carolinas, and the mayor of Spartanburg, Mayor Jerome Rice. It's Tuesday morning, and we thought it'd be helpful to get an update and share across the community as we work through the very significant recovery efforts from Hurricane Helene.
Spartanburg, we know you're going through it. We all feel it. We all understand the needs that are out there. But be strong, hold on, be patient. As the recovery is coming, it is coming as we improve day by day. As you see the traffic lights continue to come on, you see more neighbors and more friends and more citizens that have power. But we still want to inform you as much as possible as to how the process actually works. So we have asked Duke Energy to come and speak to you directly. So, and here we are. Ryan.
Sure, Mr. Mayor, thanks first for having me here. Chris, appreciate the opportunity. The first thing I want to do is thank the men and women who are the city of Spartanburg for all the work that they do with our team. I mean, we can't do any of this without the support that your leadership provides, that your leadership provides, and that the city provides on a daily basis. We understand that, this is a tough time. This is a historic event. I mean, this is a natural disaster, and we see it on our system. We've seen the destruction. We've never seen anything like it. There are folks that have worked for Duke Energy for 30, 40 years, and they've never seen anything like this. And so when that storm came through, it really took a significant focus on the transmission system that Duke Energy has. Transmission is the big wires that come from the power plant to the substation, and then you have the distribution system, which takes it from the substation to the homes and businesses in the neighborhoods. Well, if the transmission system is not working, it doesn't matter what we do in front of your house or in your backyard, you're not going to have power. And so we've really been focusing on that. The first 24 hours is also critical to get our critical agencies up, our institutions like hospitals and fire departments and like that. So we've been focused on that. We are transitioning a bit now. We've got some great success in getting some of those lines up. We just learned today that 3 of the primary transmission feeders that will help the city of Spartanburg come back on are very close. And we expect those not later than tomorrow. And what that will do, that will energize the substations that feed the neighborhoods, and then we'll have a ton of work going on in the neighborhoods with all of the bucket trucks that we have here in Spartanburg County that will descend on the different areas to help make sure that now those substations can feed those homes and businesses. We've got a ton of resources in Spartanburg, both in the city and the county. Some of them are positioned, they're all working right now. They're transitioning from neighborhoods to businesses to retail corridors as we can get them where we know we can restore power. So again, when that transmission system comes up, every time we know that we've got power, we're making sure that the downstream impacts are ready to receive that power.
Great.
One other quick question, Ryan. I'm learning more and more about the grids and a little bit more than I ever thought I needed. But can you help me help some of our citizens? If my neighbor have power and I've been without power ever since the storm hit, how does that work?
Sure. There are a couple of things associated with that. One thing that we do have in South Carolina, especially in rural areas of South Carolina, you have the co-ops, which is another power agency, and they have their own distribution systems. And then we work right beside them, throughout Spartanburg County and the entire upstate. So you might have a co-op customer on one side, and they're being fed from a different transmission feed, and so their power's up.
Sure.
Then you have a Duke Energy customer on the other side of the street, and they're being fed from a different circuit.
Right.
And that can happen within Duke Energy customers as well. It could be a Duke Energy neighborhood or a Duke Energy main street. But one side of the street is fed from one substation that is fed from one transmission system, and the other side of the street is just the opposite of that.
And of course, we have the physical proximity to the substation may not be what determines it. We have a number of folks from time to time to say, "Oh, I'm only 1,000 yards from the substation," and why? What is the proximity is not the key sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the service.
Well, and every piece of our infrastructure, every part of the grid, every part of the system was impacted by this storm. Different levels of damage, different levels of impact, but that none of it was not impacted. And so, finding, and another part where the city comes in and has helped us tremendously is with things like debris removal and access and those types of things, making for your first responders or assisting with our first responders to get where they need to be when they need to get there. And we've cleared a lot of issues in the last 3-4 days, and now it's really down to is there power to be gotten to the neighborhoods? Are those substations now, is there any work we've got to do with them? And we've been doing all this in concert. It's all been going on at the same time. But when you can get that power from the transmission system, you can free up resources and you can get more trucks out and you can really make a difference in the neighborhoods and businesses.
One more, you mentioned to us on a little side chat, just because if you're out, if I have Duke Energy out at my house today, and they put lines up and everything looks good, if it doesn't have that power from the substation, it's not going to work.
That's right. And that's why we've had such a tremendous focus on the transmission system. And the transmission system, these are the big poles, these are the big wires that you see coming from power plants. Well, there aren't any power plants in the city.
Right.
And so most of those lines are running through rigorous terrain. They're running through the foothills, they're running through the mountains, they're running through ravines and stuff. And so you can imagine, I've seen some of the photographs from aerial reconnaissance that we did right after the storm, and there are just trees in the middle of nowhere laying on these lines, and so you got to get to them. And that's what we've been working on the last couple of days. We're making tremendous progress. We really are. We're seeing the numbers go in a positive direction in the city of Spartanburg, the county of Spartanburg, and across the upstate. And we continue to move resources here too. As of last night, we had in the upstate roughly 15,000 individuals, skilled technicians, the line workers and the such in the region. And so many of those are right here in the Spartanburg area. But we're bringing more in as we can from other areas that were not impacted.
Well, help us get a sense of the last number I saw for the Spartanburg metro area, which is larger than just the city limits, was about 120,000 more restoration efforts, and the outage map indicates that most of those where you can access all the infrastructure will be up by the target is Friday at midnight. In a smaller weather event, we would see varying recovery times for different geographies. Tell us about that and about how you're working through the sort of information flow from what folks should expect.
Sure, a couple of things. A great point. Thanks for bringing it up, Chris. The information is key. It's how we plan our lives, and you can't do anything if you don't have the information to do it. And we understand customers want to know as much as they can. We want to give them as much information as we can. So we had to go through the process of assessing all the damage and understanding, based on all the things, all the inputs to our models, what's the best information we can give folks. And so Sunday afternoon, we started letting customers in the upstate know that we are feeling pretty good that the vast majority of customers will have their power restored not later than late night on Friday. That doesn't mean that's when your power's coming on. We're going to be restoring power every day, all day up until that point. We just think the very last customer that doesn't have power, that can restore, that can have power, because there are customers out there that have extensive damage to their homes or business, and they're going to have electricians come out and fix some things before we can turn them on. But the very last person that can receive power, we think that's going to be late night on Friday. But again, we think there's going to be a tremendous amount of recovery before.
Okay. Well, let's unpack a couple of those sort of resident-specific questions we've been getting. As you touched on, if your meter box has been pulled off your house and you haven't already, the instructions would be to reach out to an electrician to get the meter box.
Yeah, and I think there's some county certifications that have to take place after that. But yes, absolutely reach out to an electrician to get that repaired.
Because I think it's important that folks understand that if there is damage to the line that runs from Duke to your home, that damage will need to be repaired privately, no matter what your system has.
That's
right. Second question we get from individual property owners: they may have a downed line across their driveway or something like that, or and we, of course, we were all told all our lives, don't cross a, power line. What's the guidance on and the protocols you follow when you reactivate a certain area to make sure that there's no risk of a line that perhaps has crossed a street or a driveway and people have crossed it?
Sure.
They've gotten accustomed to it. So what are the checks that happen before you reactivate?
Yeah, and we're going to see, we see a lot of that. I mean, we see a lot after normal storms, but this is historic, right? This is, and we see those situations across the region. We're not going to turn on the power before we know that the downstream impacts are absolutely 100% safe. Our crews will make sure that, they'll be working from home to home, business to business, riding out the circuit until we understand the exact situation in whatever neighborhood it is and have made that situation completely safe before we flip any switches. That's just job number one.
And I thought it'd be helpful to maybe share a couple of thoughts on how local governments, in this case the city of Spartanburg, roles and responsibilities work with Duke. There are trees down that are entangled with power lines that you guys address, and then there are trees down that are not entangled with power lines that we're trying to get out of the way so you can get to that absolute tree with that line. And so the guidance for property owners is and folks around town is to understand that that's two different groups of professionals with two different sets of training. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also a partnership, and we want to make sure that the customers have given us all the information they can about their situation, so we understand it. If it was imminent danger, that 911 was involved, so we can take care of the safety issue there. But as we move forward and we're doing the actual restoration process, incidents like that, situations like that, the more communication, the better. But also, we're communicating with each other. Our people, the city employees, the Duke Energy line workers, our community relations team, everybody is in concert making sure that phone calls are being made. We understand the situation in every spot so that we can make sure we efficiently and safely move forward.
Ryan, the magnitude of this storm, and you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's worth repeating. You all have deployed to the area, the upstate area. Of course, it's not just Spartanburg, but 15,000 manpower on the ground, boots on the ground.
Individual human beings who have a skill set that is necessary for us to move forward. These are the line workers, these are engineers, schedulers, tree folks, these are the administrative folks behind them, the logistics people. And that's the other big piece of this. Logistics is huge. We have these staging areas all over the upstate. We have some in Spartanburg, Greenville, Greenwood, Anderson, they're everywhere. And this is so that we can host and support the life needs of all of these men and women that are coming in to help us. They're coming in from everywhere. We've brought folks in from as far as Canada to support this effort, and we're bringing more in. We are. It's a continuous process. And the other thing about the manpower issue is, as we are cleaning up, as we're clearing one area, as it becomes less of a need, we're shifting. We're shifting folks to just like you would in a military operation, to get where the trouble is and to put as much pressure as you can to bear to bring things up. So that's an ongoing thing, and we can't do it without the folks that come in to help us, just like we can't do it without the folks who are here at the city and other agencies.
Sure. And I think it'd be irresponsible of us not to take a moment to acknowledge that we're thinking about our folks just across the North Carolina line in Western North Carolina are so much more intensely impacted than we are. Our problems seem significant, but they're not nearly as significant as Asheville and Western North Carolina area, and I know you've got folks there working as well. So
we do, and just like here, we have folks that aren't just working there; they live there.
Right.
They have families there. Their lives are there. And so not only are they, the folks here in Spartanburg and the surrounding area working the storm without power at home, in Asheville it's the same, except for it's a much different situation.
It's not have a home.
Absolutely, and I've listened to some of my colleagues up there describe the situation, and it's a nightmare. It really is awful. The situation there is a different recovery effort. We're putting all the resources we can up there, but there are things like flooding that we have to get through. We don't have that same situation here. It's really just a matter of getting the things we need to get done, and it just takes a little time.
Absolutely. I've been working the last few days out of, this is our workroom in our public works facility, and as our downtown offices were coming back online, we've been working here, and that makes us just double emphasizes that a lot of our folks are working their 12-hour days, and they're going home to help friends, family members, extended family deal with their own issues in their own lives. So it's not like they're going home to rest and come back and work next shift. So I think empathy, patience, and a sense of perspective will do us all some good.
100%, and we see it everywhere. The friends helping friends, neighbors helping neighbors, that's such a critical component, and it's what we do in the South. It's just what we do. But people who have power inviting folks who don't to come hang out at their house, do a load of laundry, take a hot shower, have a hot meal. That kind of support is so critical, and that's what's getting us through. That's what's going to get us to the finish line. The finish line is in sight. We're almost there, but we still have some work to do.
Still have work. And to Spartanburg, again, as a whole, Spartanburg strong. I mean, we are coming through. I was on a call earlier with the principal at the local high school, Spartanburg High School, Dr. McMillan. They're going to feed the community coming up.
That's great.
We have a couple schools that have power, so they will be working out of their schools. Just being patient. I mean, be patient. Again, my wife reminded me, Shay reminded me as we kind of rode and surveyed the city, that a lot of our workers, again, are out there doing their jobs, 12-hour days, and you know what, Jerome, at the end of the day, they're going home to a dark house. That's as we are, as we're still without power right now. But it's coming, and we all know you guys are working hard. We do appreciate seeing the trucks, and that's another big question. Where are the Duke trucks? Where are the Duke trucks? Just because you don't see Duke Energy on the side of the truck, we do have trucks that are out there working to get the power.
It's a great
restored.
point, Mr. Mayor. We've often, we look for the Duke brand out there because that's what we grew up with. That's what we know. That's who we represent.
Yeah.
But if you see a utility truck anywhere in the upstate right now, if it's on the interstate, if it's on 85, if it's on Business, if it's on Pine, those guys are working for us to get your power back on. And on that note, just one more thing, these folks are sacrificing as well.
Sure.
All of these, even if they're not the local folks that are coming in here. The one thing we do ask is that, give them the space to do the job that they need to do. Whether that's in traffic situations, if they're on the side of the road, slow down, move, change lanes like you would for a police or EMT or fire. And let them do their job. Try not to harass them. I know everybody wants information, everybody's curious, but they really need to concentrate on the task at hand. And the sooner they can get that job done, they can move to the next.
And that crew you see is working their work order. They may not know what's happening with distribution, transmission, or that type of thing.
Not quite familiar with Spartanburg. They're just going out to an area. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate you sitting down with us
Oh,
and
it's
taking
my pleasure.
this time, and we think this will be helpful to share a little additional
And
information.
I've got one more thing for the folks out there, the citizens of the city of Spartanburg and the surrounding area. I mean, we appreciate your patience. We really do. And we know exactly what you're feeling right now because we're feeling it too. And we want to get the power up. Nobody wants to get the power up faster than we do. But it just takes time. It takes a little patience, and we're going to get there, and we're going to get you more information just as soon as we can. Just be patient. We'll be there.
Good. Ryan, thank you for that information. In Spartanburg, we wanted to bring it to you firsthand, hear it right from Duke Energy, right here in front of us, still giving us a updated report, right on time as to where we are. Again, all citizens should have restored power by Friday. Of course, some will be sooner than Friday, but just be patient, be kind, as we always stress here in Spartanburg. Be kind to one another.
And continue to check our social media website, city app, and other things for additional information on community resources and things of that nature. Hang in there. The end is in sight.